What's wrong with us, Bearly? What is wrong with us?
Well, we're furries and we have a podcast. That's two reasons that it was wrong
Who
with
let
us.
that happen? Who actually let that happen? Okay.
This is Barely Furcasting, featuring Taebyn, an Injured Nerves audio production.
Well, hello, Taebyn. How are you?
Hello, Bearly. I'm doing great, apparently. How are you doing this fine?
I'm doing pretty good. And hello to every fur out there in the world, and every person and everything and everything that we have in the podiverse out there. Welcome to our podcast.
All the things, welcome, all the fluff.
All the fluff. So what's happening, Taebyn? How you been?
Well, I've been good. What have I been? I've been a pup. I am a pup, and I have continued to be a pup. And that's about it. I've been running around, and I think that's about it. I am pup.
All right. Well, there you go. Let's check the mailbag, shall we? I'm opening the mailbag. And it's empty. All right. Well.
Okay. It was sure crackly for being so empty.
Noises. That's what I like.
Turtle noises.
I like turtles.
Turtles make noises?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
But armadillos do, because they like click when they walk. They go click, 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 click.
That just means they need their nails trimmed.
And they all have very bad hygiene because they all click like that. So they don't. They all
They
need their
just
nails
don't know how to trim those nails. Those armadillos. So
Anyway.
I have finished, well, not finished, but I have finished the grid on WikiFur of all of our
how exciting.
episodes. Yes.
Episodes?
All of the episodes. Yes.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
No, that's exciting. That's exciting. That must have been a lot of work.
It was initially, but once I got into the groove of it, it made it a lot simpler. So
Right. Once you know what you're doing.
yeah,
And I noticed on there's a whole bunch of example on the grid.
yes, that's empty. Those are empty spaces.
Those are okay.
So like next time on episode 29, we rode the road. Oh my God. The word example will be replaced with information.
I would rather see what happens when the road gets replaced with information. But either way will work.
Yeah, anything will work. But apart from that, what have you been watching on television? Anything?
Yes, so we have continued watching F is for Family. In fact, today we finished season 2, and it's fun to go back and rewatch that, even though I, watched it all really recently. I'm remembering a lot, but there's a lot I don't remember. So the season, there's 4 seasons, and this is season 2 finale. Like, wow, that was it's quite an ending there. So for any fur, no spoilers, of course, but it ends quite interestingly.
Anything else?
I talked recently about how I've been watching Suits. Got the new season out. I think it's season 5. Really good stuff. And then we finished the disc, and there was supposed to be another disc. The thing on Netflix said, "Oh yeah, you still got this disc," and we couldn't find it anywhere. So we started something else, and I'll tell you what that was in a second. But just today, my hubby found it in like a bunch of papers and things that he has piled up, and you know how that goes. So, and we looked like everywhere. It's like, I know that we've got to have this disc. And anyway, so that's not a really very exciting story, but there it is. But so instead of that, since we didn't have the next disc, we went on to just watch a thing streaming on Netflix called Queen's Gambit. Have you heard of that?
We have heard of that. We have not started it yet. We're trying to catch up on other things first before we must watch it.
Must catch up, because before you must. I totally relish what you just did there. If you see what I just did there.
I did see. Yes.
Okay, oh my cow. Yes, so Queen's Gambit, we've only seen 2 episodes, but it's really good so far. And from what I hear, like every episode just gets better. And, I was tweeting about it. Some first tweeted back and said, it just gets better and better. And it's like really great. And of course, it's a little bit more kind of special to this pup, because this pup used to play chess. Actually got kind of good-ish, I guess. I mean, I rated like up in the 15, maybe 1600s.
I have no idea what those numbers mean. You were
So
the
the
1500th in the world? What?
I guess this is one of the informational sections of our show today.
Please tell us about chess.
So there's this thing called the U.S. Chess Federation, and other international federations and stuff of chess, and they have a rating system. For example, extreme beginner might be rated, say, I don't remember off the top of my head, something like 500. But grandmasters, so like international grandmasters that are really good, would be up in 2,500.
Okay.
And trivia today, the world champion, like one of the best in the entire world. He's so amazing. Magnus Carlsen. He's rated at like 27, 2,800, maybe 29. It's like insane. I know this is really cool. You can look this up on YouTube. Magnus Carlsen, this was a few years ago. He did this, and he played against 3 grandmasters at the same time, blindfolded. He was blindfolded. They were not. So what he would do is, they blindfolded him. He was actually sitting on the other side of the room, so he couldn't cheat or anything. And there were 3 grandmasters sitting on the other side of the room with chessboards, and they would just take a turn. First guy would go, and Magnus would say, bishop to queen 8 or whatever, chess notation. So he would say that and then go to the next person. And so he would rotate turns, and he won. Spoiler alert, he won all 3. This is a thing that happened.
Okay, how did he know where to put the pieces if he was blindfolded?
Well, like he would tell the moderator, or I think it was anyway, he would say where to move it, and then someone else would move it for him. But
Okay, so he didn't move it with his mind.
no,
So
he's
okay.
pretty talented, but he's not quite there. I think he's working on the teleportation with the mind thing.
The telekinesis is not
Telekinesis.
is not right yet. Okay,
Not
gotcha.
right.
Okay.
But
Perfect.
it's
Okay.
just so crazy and amazing. Anyway, but of course, I find that really, really interesting because, well, I love that stuff.
Well, yes. I watched you play a riveting chess game at
Riveting.
FC 2020 with Escort. It was amazing.
It I don't sort of, but so for any of you fur that would like to see this, I think we have a few little clips on my YouTube about it.
It's not the entire match on YouTube because there's maybe 3 people in the world that would watch that from beginning to end.
At most. Yeah,
At
no,
most, yes.
but yeah, there it was.
Anything else that you've been watching besides the chess gambit queen thing?
Queen's Gambit. No, that's about it.
So one of my things is we have this ghost that lives in our house that takes care
Ooh.
of all the laundry.
That's
It's
pretty
me.
cool. Oh,
It's
that's
me.
you?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're a ghost bear.
Yeah, my husband seems to think that if he said, "We have a ghost. I put my laundry on the floor and it disappears and it gets folded and put it in my dresser." What I do is I watch old shows on Amazon Prime while I'm folding laundry, and I started watching the old series of Robin Hood, which
Oh,
is really
wow.
good. The guy, I don't know his name off the top of my head right at the right now, but he's really cute. I'll just
Oh,
say that right now, he's really cute, Robin Hood. Yeah.
okay.
Um, and then I also watched the first episode of Utopia on
Hmm.
Amazon Prime. I'm not exactly sure where it's going. I've only watched the first episode.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's like an anthology or whether it's standalone episodes. So
I have
stay
not
tuned.
heard about that. So stay
Yes.
tuned. Yes,
Stay
you'll
tuned for
update us.
this. Right.
You'll update us next week. So, is I had not heard of this. Is it good so far? What's it kind of about, do you think? I mean, you've only
This
seen one episode, but
their first episode is there's this couple and they find a rough comic setup it's a comic book that their grandpa drew when he died.
hmm.
Originally he wrote one called Dystopia, and the Utopia was the sequel, and it was just
Hmm.
all different pieces, and there's like all these fanboys that are trying to buy it, and it becomes a mystery because they try and steal it, and they go to a Comic-Con
Oh.
and they're talking about this stuff, and there's intrigue and mystery afoot.
Wow, great.
Afoot, yes.
And
And
so you watch that while you're floating laundry too,
yes,
right?
while I'm folding the laundry, yes.
Okay, good. Just wanna
So,
make sure I
yep,
have my pictures straight here.
yeah. And then the other thing that I'm watching, I'm very, 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 very excited for. Hulu released Rick and Morty series 4.
Oh.
It's one of those episodes where it happens, and I look at my husband and go, "Did they just do what they did?" Because
It's another
wow,
one of those. Okay.
yeah, it's a whole other series of that. It's like, oh my god, did they just do that?
Okay.
So
Good to know. Good
yeah,
to know. You haven't finished the whole season yet, though.
yeah. We're 4 episodes in. We kind of want to let it stretch out, but we don't want to over binge because then we're done, and then
Then you're
you're
done. Then what
disappointed.
are you gonna do? I
Yeah.
guess I'll wait for the next season to come out in a year. I don't know.
Right, exactly. Well, my friend, you know what time it is? It is time for us to post the link for 5-minute furs for fun.
5 minutes first for. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Fun.
Okay, well, nobody joined us for 5-minute furs, so that means we get to do a Mad Lib. So, Taven, do you have a Mad Lib available?
I do, and it does not make me mad. It makes me excited. I wag.
All right, well, go for it.
So I need a color, Mr. Bearly.
Orange.
And now I need a superlative that is ending in est.
Fluffiest.
An adjective.
Twitter-pated.
How about a bloody part? But actually, don't do a bloody part. Do a body part plural.
A body part plural. Toes.
A body part, just one.
Spleen.
Okay. I mean, it's a body part.
Yeah.
That'll work.
It's a
how
funny
about
body part.
It's a funny body part. It's puts you in stitches. No, that's something I don't even know what that is. How about a noun?
That's what a surgeon puts you in stitches. A noun. Wine.
That makes me feel so fine. Animal, plural.
Ocelots.
Good thing I'm not graded on spelling here. Adjective.
Funny.
And how about another adjective?
Windy.
Windy. Through my fur, fluff. And another adjective.
Gloomy.
Oh, nice. That's the last one. That's a wonderful way to end that. This story is called Dragons. The orange dragon is the fluffiest dragon of all. It has Twitter-pated toes and a spleen shaped like and a spleen. Let me try that again. And a spleen shaped like a wine. I don't know what a wine is shaped like. I guess it depends on the glass it's in or something. I don't know. This is sad. It loves to eat ocelots, although it will feast on nearly anything.
Okay.
Okay. It's a funny and windy. Well, that's what an orange dragon is. It's a funny and windy. You must be gloomy around it, or you may end up as its meal. As long as you're gloomy around the orange dragon specifically, you will not end up as its meal. Instead, the poor little ocelot will. So
ocelots will, yes.
There it is, the end.
The end. Well, thank you very much. That brings us to our guest today.
Oh, yes, I wagon.
Your wagon. Your little wed wagon.
Red
wagon.
My little wed wagon is I don't even know what to do with that. It's Reagan on me, I guess. I don't know.
I guess the little wed wagon. Wow. Okay. Let's have some more wine, shall we?
With an orange dragon around the gloomy ocelot or something. I don't know.
Gloomy ocelots, yes. Our feature fur this week is Rahne Kallon. Let's get to our interview with Rahne.
Rahne, I got nothing.
Joining us today is Rahne. Is it Kallon?
Yes.
Rahne Kallon.
Bark, bark.
He is going to answer a bunch of questions. And Taebyn, do you have some questions for Rahne?
I'm wondering what would happen if I didn't, because you just said he has a whole bunch of answers, and I'm curious to know what answers he would have if I didn't have any questions for him.
He's just going to answer questions randomly that he asks himself.
Hey, Rahne, like answer some questions, like right now. Do it.
I'll answer whatever question you throw at me.
But see, the thing was, if I didn't have any questions, what answers would you have?
That's a good question right there. That's a
I
question
guess I
right
just
there, and I
I
don't
kind
have an answer to that.
I kind of just lied, I guess. I guess I did have a question. Well, instead of that, how about I ask some questions that you do have some answers to?
Certainly, go right ahead.
So, where are you from?
Where am I from? I am from Northern California, the Bay Area. From the from San Francisco Bay Area, actually.
Which is why I have seen you at things like FC. But we'll get there. So, how did you become Rahne Kallon?
Kalen.
Huh? Kallon.
Kalen?
Kallon.
You mean Callan?
I mean Kallon. That was a test to see if you knew your name, and you do. So great.
See, that's how you know I'm paying attention.
How did you become Rahne Kallon? And how long have you been such?
Unless this is more, well, perhaps it's more specific. Specifically, how did I come up with the name Rahne Kallon?
That's a good place to start.
Back when I got into the fandom, I knew, like, it wasn't even a question for me. I knew right off the bat that my persona would be a wolf because I've always loved wolves. They've always been sort of like this majestic and wonderful creature, and that, I guess that comes from the fact that I've always loved dogs. I've always loved huskies and German shepherds because they sort of resemble wolves in a way.
And do you like border collies?
Oh, absolutely. Border Collie is my favorite breed. My favorite dog breed today.
I am. This pup is a border collie with a little bit of Burmese mountain dog, but
Oh,
primarily
okay.
border collie. So that's exciting. I wag. Okay, I cut you off because you kind of got me all excited about that. So now I'll let you keep talking. Sorry.
No, okay. No, you're fine. You're fine. The name Ronnie. So it's a very interesting way that this happened. So I'm a big fan of X-Men. Back when I was growing up, the Fox cartoon from 1992 to 1997 was a really, really, really big part of my childhood. When I was a teenager, they came out with this new cartoon called X-Men Evolution, which focused on the characters in their younger years, and also devoted a little bit of attention to the subsection of X-Men called the New Mutants. One of these New Mutants was called Wolfsbane, who has lycanthrope powers, so she can turn into a wolf or a werewolf on command. Her real name is actually Rain Sinclair, spelled Rahne. Now, because Wolverine's voice actor, Scott McNeil, mispronounced her name as Ronnie, at the time, when I was like 13 or something, 13, 14, I heard Ronnie because that's the way he said it, but it was spelled Rahne. At the time, I thought that was amazing. I thought that was a fabulous way to spell Ronnie.
It's true. It's true.
Wouldn't find out until years later that he actually meant to say rain. But at that point, when I had like become a furry and like, chosen my persona, chosen my name, I was like, oh, Ronnie sounds like a great name. And like, especially with this spelling, oh, it sounds perfect. And then Callan was, I don't remember how I came up with Callan. I think Callan was something I kind of picked, not off the fly, but I wanted something that kind of sounded good with Ronnie, something that kind of rolled off the tongue.
Rahne Kallon. Yeah, there you go. I
Yeah.
can see that. Yeah.
Unless you talk to Strobes, he'll call me Rain Scallions. So I don't necessarily remember how Callan came about, aside from just the fact that I wanted something that's something quick and easy that just rolled off the tongue with Ronnie.
And it works. So when did you get into the fandom, and when did you realize you were a furry? And like, were they a simultaneous thing, or did one come way before the other?
So I got into the fandom in 2005. I would say I became a furry. That's always a tough question to ask because I think that depends on who you're talking to. When you quote unquote become a furry, it's not like this aura of light is beamed upon you, like, oh, you are now a furry. You know what I mean? It's not like that. It's
More like an aura of fluff of some sort, I guess.
if only. I think that's a self-realization thing that people have to discover. I don't think a lot of people really remember when they discovered that exact moment. If I had to pinpoint it, I would probably say, I mean, it could be a number of different points, because I grew up loving cartoons that focus on anthropomorphic animals, specifically Road Rovers, SWAT Cats, Tiny Toons, Looney Tunes, Animaniacs, Ninja Turtles, all those cartoons from the 90s, Rocko's Modern Life and Ren and Stimpy. All those cartoons from the 90s that focused on anthropomorphic characters were just stuff that appealed to me. I didn't really know about the furry fandom itself until I think maybe 2004. I mentioned Road Rovers as a which was my favorite cartoon growing up. Back when I was in high school, I used to sort of be obsessed with the idea of like somehow, okay, I'll tell you what I did. I used to email WB like in high school all the time, asking them, begging them to bring back this show. In my grand naivete, thinking that would work, and I'd always look up stuff about the show. I read that the dogs were quote unquote anthropomorphized, which was they were given human-like qualities. So that's when I learned the term anthropomorphic. That was in 2004. I think it was like right after that I learned about the furry fandom. It was like right around the same time or right after that. Because when you look up, anthropomorphic, that just opens up a can of worms. But the fandom specifically, I didn't actually join that actively specifically until 2005.
So that's when they let you, send them money and you got your card, and so you actually joined the fandom. And
Exactly, I was granted membership.
they're very select, so that's very cool that they let you in.
I'm very grateful.
Did they let you have any personas?
Yes, they did. Ronnie, my blue wolf. I believe I've sent you pictures of. He didn't always look the way he does now. That was definitely an evolution. When you've been in the fandom as long as I have, more often than not, you'll find yourself going through a creative and imaginative evolution of your persona. And I think the reason for that is because when I first got into the fandom, in 2005, I didn't know anything. So I didn't really know what I wanted aside from Ronnie would be my name, Wolf would be the persona, and that was it. I think it was about 2007 or 2008. It was around then that I molded my persona. That's when I started the molding process, creative process into creating him into what he is now. But even back then, he didn't look like he does today. Like the way he became about his design today came about after I commissioned a Made for You to make my fursuit. I told Cyber that I wanted, well, let's just say I gave her like some creative freedom. What she came back with was mind-blowing, completely mind-blowing. If you look at any of the art that I have of him like today, the light blue toes and fingers, that was not part of his original design. The chest pattern, the dark blue chest pattern, that was not part of his original design. The different sorts of shades of blue on his face and his muzzle, that was not part of his design. The pattern on his muzzle, the dark blue fur on his face and his muzzle, yeah, that was part of his original design, but the light blue fur like under his cheeks, like under the dark blue fur, that was not part of the original design. The short hair was sort of part of the original design, but I never used it. Didn't use it until it got the fursuit. That design didn't come until about 2015. So I would say from 2007 to 2014, that's when he looked like his original design. Over the course of 15 years, he's definitely evolved into what he is today, and I'm very happy with what he is today.
He's a wonderful big blue wolf, I think.
The other character I have is Hilo. Hilo is an Australian Shepherd wolf dog hybrid. That was the creation of Cyber specifically for Made for You, because I told Cyber something between a Border Collie Husky mix or Australian Shepherd mix, something within those parameters, within those breeds. I knew I wanted a hybrid. I told her I want the same template as Ronnie. That much I did want. So if you look at Hilo and Ronnie, you actually realize they actually have the same template as far as like the very, very basic design. And it's a very popular template that a lot of people use, but there's obviously some major differences. But his original rev sheet had a red eye and a curly tail, and he was going to be an Australian Shepherd Akita mix. And I decided, why don't we have both light blue eyes and a regular long wolfish tail? I decided Australian Shepherd wolf dog, and we kind of just ran with that. Aside from me saying that I wanted the same template as Ronnie, the design was basically all Cybers.
Came out well also, in my opinion. So cons, you mentioned cons a little bit. What was your first, so back in 2005-ish, you were getting into the fandom and everything, but when did your first Furcon come about?
My first Furcon was not actually until, so further confusion, 2011, 6 years after I entered the fandom. What a wide gap.
So were you hooked right away? Did you go to like a whole bunch all at the same time, or did you kind of space it out, or how did that go? And where does that sit now as far as your con schedule?
So I was immediately hooked, because going to my first con was like opening up a brand new world within the world that I already kind of lived in. You spend 6 years in the fandom at that point and kind of interested in cons, but then you finally go to one and it's like, wow, this is where the magic happens. Holy crap.
Yeah.
And then you meet everyone, you meet like a lot of your friends in person, you see fursuits in person for the first time, and that just is unbelievably captivating, honestly. I was very hooked from the start. My next con wasn't actually until FC 2012, because I didn't really have the means to go to a lot of conventions right away. I had a very basic job back then, so I didn't like have the means to go to a lot of cons. And I wouldn't really have the means to go to a lot of cons until 2013, because that's when I started working multiple jobs, actually. But that was the
Oh.
start of like me going to multiple cons a year. As the years went on, I would go to more and more cons. Now it's not even just cons for me, it's also music festivals. Combined with conventions and music festivals, I probably go to like between 7 or 8 events a year.
That's a good number.
Typically 1 or 2 festivals, maybe somewhere between 5 and 6 cons on average.
It's a lot of travel. I know. I typically had been for the last few years been going to 6 per year.
There's a lot of fun to be had, you know what I mean?
So fun at cons. Yes, cons are fun. And there's a particular fun thing there's a particular fun thing that you do at cons very well. And do you know what that thing is?
Probably my dancing or my DJing or both.
We'll just say both. I think it's safest if I say both, but I'll I'll focus on the dancing at the moment. How long have you been dancing?
Seriously, I've been dancing seriously since 2012, so for about 8 years.
So that's like right after FC.
Exactly after FC, yeah, after my first con.
And so what got you into it? What do you think the con inspired that, or how do you think you got into it?
I wasn't inspired from what I saw at the con, no, because when I went to my first con, I didn't pay attention to dancing at all. I didn't even know dancing in the fandom was actually really a thing when I went to my first con. I didn't really discover dancing until I think it was like 6 months after my first con. I remember being at home in my apartment, coming across videos of Tyser and Doryu and Ronnie Noodles, the other Ronnie, the Dragon Ronnie, and Doryu and Mosey, but most specifically Tyser on stage at Further Confusion 2011, which was which was my first con. I don't know how I missed it. And not just that, I came across videos of him performing at FWA and Your Friends. And back then, when I came across those videos, I was so blown away, not only because of how good he was as a dancer, but also because of how easy he made it look. Not only did it make it look so easy, but he made it look so fun. I remember thinking, as someone who used to dance as a kid, remembering how hard it was to actually be a good dancer, watching him on stage in a big costume like that, making it look so much fun and like making it look so easy. I was so not only blown away, but I guess you could say I was a little envious, because immediately my first thought was, I would love to do what he's doing. He looks like he's having so much fun. People are cheering him on. I can't imagine how fun that must be. You know what I mean? And then from then on, I started looking and watching more and more and more videos of more and more dancing and more fursuiters and more dance competitions. And I back in those days, the ones I focused on mostly were not just Tyser, but also Mangusu, who at the time wore Monsteru, and Doryu, and Mosey, and Ronnie Noodles, and Four, and V. It was something that really hooked me and captivated me, straight from the get-go, and I could not stop thinking about it. I could not let go of it. That's how it took off for me.
And you're pretty amazing at it these days. So it apparently did great stuff for you. And so what dance style did you start with, or did you just start flopping around, or did you find some music that you liked, or what started that?
It's funny because I didn't really start with any particular style because I was so bad at it. I wasn't flopping around
Per se.
per se. I hadn't settled into a specific style like with solid foundations. And every style, has its foundation. I don't really know what I was doing. I was just doing what felt right at the time and what felt good to me and what felt natural. I wouldn't really become even decent until I'd say 2014. 2014 is when I started to actually find myself as a dancer, started to develop something. I hadn't developed like anything solid yet. I was becoming decent, but wouldn't even really consider myself to be like good until I'd say 2015. So it took me a good like 3 years or so, yeah, to become at least decent. But even then, like as far as styles go, I like over the past 8 years, I've experimented with a lot of styles. I've experimented with contemporary hip hop, with popping, with locking. The style that I settled into the most, that I was most comfortable with, that I was most at home with, that felt most natural to me was contemporary hip hop. That's what I do now, and that's what feels, best now. I can still bust out locking if the circumstance calls for it, but contemporary hip hop is the most I feel at home when it comes to dance styles.
It's what feels the most natural to you and what you feel most comfortable in. I've seen you at dance comps. You've done floor wars and you've done choreographed dance comps and you've done really amazing at all those. Which one of those do you prefer, or do you have a preference?
I want to say that I look at them as two sides of the same coin because they're both such different beasts. I guess if I had to really force an answer, I suppose I think I might prefer like dance comps, like showcase dance competitions.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I love Floor Wars so much. I can't live without one or the other. They really are like two sides of the same coin because I love and I enjoy them so much together. I go into both of them with very different goals and very different
Hmm.
sentiments. The goal of a dance competition, at least for me as a performer, is more about giving a good performance and putting on a good show. It's not really the same thing as, outright battling somebody to outdo your opponent. I feel like dance competitions, there is a difference between dancing and performing. And then there's a mix of both. I often see floor wars as more of straight up raw dancing. And
Right.
and
Yeah.
less performing. I mean you're still performing because you're on a stage in front of an audience. So I mean, by definition, you are performing in some kind of capacity, but that's more about like the raw dancing, and there's less of a theatrical aspect than say being on a big stage and like doing a showcase performance. That kind of performance allows you to really play around with a lot of things, and it gives you a lot more freedom and flexibility to do a lot of things that may not necessarily work well in a battle. I love them both. It's really hard to have one without the other at this point in my life.
So, as far as like an actual showcase dance comp and everything, you of course have to come up with dance routines. And how long does it take for you to come up with a dance routine?
Depends on the song, depends on my mood, depends on my goal, depends on the competition. There's a lot of factors that go into it. There's not any one answer for that. It can take me weeks to come up with a choreographed routine, but I
Hmm.
also don't like necessarily choreograph all of my dances, like not 100% anyway. I'm more into the idea of what I call bookmarking, and bookmarking
Hmm.
is what I use to describe a type of loose choreography. And what I mean by that is throughout certain points of a song, I know I'm going to do this move or something like this move. At this point, I'm going to do something like this move, or I'm going to do something like this. It's like cue
Yeah.
points versus like a 100% choreographed performance where I know exactly what I'm doing. I know every move I'm doing for 100% of the song, or even for 90% of the song. I have done that as well. But the reason why I sort of go like back and forth between like a full solid choreographed dance and like a bookmarked dance is because as somebody who freestyles a lot, and I do freestyle a lot. There are some dances that I do just like that are just total freestyle. But when I'm freestyling, like just practicing my dancing, the thing is, some of your best moves, some of your most surprising moves will come out when you're freestyling. When you have a song that you're just really, really into, you have that confidence, you have the attitude, and you're just going for it, you're just getting it, and you feel good. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, you'll just pull out like some amazing moves you didn't even know you had in your arsenal. You'll start doing stuff that you never knew you could do, and that only comes from freestyling. That doesn't necessarily come from choreography, because when you're trying to choreograph a song, you're very into it, and you're like thinking critically of every move that you do and every move that you don't do, and trying to build something, especially something for like that goes on for 2 minutes. That takes a lot longer than a lot of people might think it does. Because if you're, not only do I have to like listen to the song over and over again, and I don't know, being able to choreograph a song for me also means being able to dance to the song without actually hearing the song. Like being able to dance to the song as if I'm just hearing it in my head. Um, at that point, that's how you know you've been able to, really dominate a song. Um, but that also means you sort of limit yourself. You know what I mean? If you choreograph a song that like 100%, you don't leave yourself open to the discovery of like new movements. If you don't give yourself the opportunity to surprise yourself, I think I personally find that kind of limiting and restrictive in a way. Um, so that's why I am comfortable with like bookmarking, because that way, if I'm on stage and I'm just so into the moment, I might do something that is so wild and surprising. That might be better than whatever I came up with when I was trying to choreograph the song. Does that make sense?
It does make a lot of sense, I think, because if you do something that you don't know you're going to do, sometimes that's especially like you're saying, if you have that freestyleness in you enough, then anything that you're not planning on doing is just going to like that freestyleness is going to erupt and help enhance things and just be great. So what is the Furocity Dance Crew?
The Furocity Dance Crew is started out with myself, Kai, and Racket, also known as Hogwash. That was an idea I came up with back in 2015. I had done so many dance competitions at that point. I felt like with the explosion of group performances and group choreo, and having competed it so often as a solo performer, I felt like a group performance was the natural evolution for me to go towards. So I talked to Kai and Racket, who were two like my best friends at that point, and they were happy to do it. They were on board with it for sure. I remember thinking, let's do such a fun con. I told Kai and Racket, what if you filmed a dance video in the pool area? Because it's such a cool area, it's such an awesome area. It would make for a really fun music video. And I hadn't done a music video in a good while at that point. It had been a hot minute since I did a dance video. There was a videographer and photographer named Chata Spots who had done a lot of fantastic videos, and he was an amazing photographer. And I said, what if we did a dance video filmed by Chata? And they were all on board for it, every one of them. And that was the start of just Furocity as like a dance crew who started doing music videos. But that's where all that came from. We just started continuing that from there. The second time we were supposed to do that was MFF 2018. That was when we brought Fluke into the mix, because we needed at least a third person to make like a solid music video work. And we brought Fluke in because Fluke was just coming up actually as a dancer, like right then and there around that time. So the idea was we were going to have Fluke, Kai, myself, Jamage, and Red Kitsu. And this was a big video that we filmed at MFF 2018, and it never saw the light of day because the videographer disappeared off the face of the planet. So we never saw that footage.
Oh no.
It's okay, because from then on, the sort of main lineup sort of becomes Fluke, Kai, and myself, and we start doing the music videos as like a three-piece from that point on. So we filmed another one at FC 2019, and then BLFC 2019, and then FC 2020. I think we've done 4 as the 3 of us so far. It's a really interesting journey from going to just trying to do a dance competition as a group, and then just making music videos exclusively from then on. But yeah, that's what it is.
And where can we find all these wonderful, wonderful things? Are they on your YouTube or social media or on some other site?
Most of them are on Chata Spots' Twitter at Chata Spots. That's ChatahSpots. That's Chata Spots.
Okay.
Fluke has the BLFC 2019 video on his YouTube channel. Fluke Husky on YouTube. You'll find the Furocity video from BLFC 2019 on there. By and large, most of them are on Twitter,
Cool.
on Chata Spots' Twitter.
I will definitely have to check that out. And any furs out there, check that out and see how wonderful that is. So, we've had several different Dancy Furs on this Pupcast in the past. So from you, for any fur that's just trying to start out with dancing, or currently maybe they are a Dancy Fur but want to improve, how would you personally recommend they do so?
Strobes mentioned that he could give you all the advice and tutorials in the world, and it wouldn't mean a damn thing if the person doesn't utilize them and practice. And it's true. It's very, very true. What I'd say personally is, if somebody has no dance experience or little experience, there's several tiers of what I recommend they do. First, I recommend they watch a lot of dance videos of their favorite dancers. Whether that means furry dancers or dancers outside the fandom, just go find dance videos of people that you like dancing. Or actually, we can make this easy. We can keep it simple. Go watch performances of your favorite fursuit dancers. Figure out which dancers and which styles appeal to you the most. And then go look up dance tutorials on YouTube of those specific styles. Utilize them, study them over and over and over again, dance along with them, try to move along with them, try to do what they're doing and what they're instructing. And dance classes, if you're able to. Dance classes force you to think in a way that you did not think of before. The instructor is going to have you do stuff, they're going to show you stuff, and it's going to be so outside of the realm of what was originally your scope of dancing, and that's the point. So when you take a dance class, it not only does it expand your mind and expand your scope of what good dancing is, it also expands your dance vocabulary, which I think is key to being a well-rounded dancer. I think the single best resource is YouTube videos and tutorials and practicing the hell out of them. Like I said earlier, you could watch dance tutorials for days. Doesn't mean a thing if you don't practice them, or practice in your spare time, or try to execute the stuff that you're trying to learn.
No, I mean, you got to get your muscles moving. I mean, you can watch it. I like what you said there at first, that you watch a lot of it and get a good feel for what you like and the type of movements you like. You can't just watch a few videos and know what type of movements or type of styles or anything you like. You really got to do that. And then start getting out, watching lots of things, trying to mimic things, and you're going to flop around at first, of course, but
Yeah.
that's the process. So definitely lots of practice. So do you have like a YouTube, or what's your social media? And I also heard just today that you have a podcast. So tell us briefly about that and your social media and where we can find you and see more of you.
I do have a YouTube, but I don't really upload anything to it. Really, everything I post is on Twitter. My Twitter is at Rahne Kallon. That's RAHNE KALLON. I live stream on Twitch every week. Twitch.tv/RAHNEHK. That's Ronnie HK. My podcast is called Barking With.
Nice.
It's kind of a clever title, as in, today I'm barking with Taebyn. Next week I'm barking with this person. It's basically just a little podcast I have that I do live on my Twitch channel on Fridays. It's basically a podcast where I'll just bring a guest on, someone who I've known for a long time, or even not even a long time, but who I've known for or collaborated with, or at least someone that I'm comfortable with. I've learned from just like watching other podcasts that, like, there are people who excel. You put them in the spotlight. And then there are people who are very, very nervous. So I tend to be very picky about who I have on, because I try to keep it as less of an interview and more of a conversation. I've done 8 episodes so far. All of them have been with people who I haven't talked to in a hot minute. You know what I mean?
A hot one.
A hot one. Episode 6 was Ronnie Noodles, who's like a very, 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 very big driving force in the dance community. He's actually the founder of the Furry fandom's first dance crew, Last for One. He's responsible for bringing floor wars and dance battles to the fandom.
Oh.
You would not have floor wars and dance battles at conventions if it was not for him. When I brought him on the podcast, considering how long we've known each other and everything he's done with his history and my history, there's a lot to talk about. So that episode went on for almost 6 hours.
Oh, that's so long. We thought our 90-minute one that we just had was long.
Oh no, you kidding me? This is we going for a long time on my podcast.
Your podcast format's a little bit different than ours. Yours is
Yours
is live and loose, and ours is a little more structured. And there's room for all those types of things in the fandom and in the podcast community.
Oh, of course. I like your podcast. That's why I agreed to come on. No shade to you guys. I love what you guys do. I respect what you guys do.
Well, thank you. You're so nice, Wolfie.
But yeah, I decided to go for a different format with my podcast because it's fundamentally and inherently different, because, I'm also streaming live. When you're on Twitch in front of a live audience, the longer streams tend to work better in your favor versus a structured podcast like this. It actually makes sense for what you guys do on your podcast. It actually makes sense to do that. Every podcast is different depending on what your goal is with it. But for me, I wanted to do something different because I've always wanted to engage with a live audience. And I've always wanted to have my own sort of, not say talk show, but I've always wanted to, just talk to people in a semi-interview fashion. The inspiration I take from mine is actually from Philip DeFranco. He has a podcast called A Conversation With. That's literally how I got my title. I called my title Barking With. His are not as long as mine, but, I try to go on as long as possible because, I find a lot of enjoyment in long form conversations. So that's just the format and the style that I've developed.
I find it interesting. These titles, anyway, I find interesting.
They're clever titles. And I will say, one of the hardest things to come up with for a podcast is a good title.
So to wrap this all up into a nice, neat little bow, Ronnie.
Neat little fluffy bow.
With a tail.
Is there anything that you'd like to share as words of wisdom with our podcast listeners?
I'd say,
I think is a good word of wisdom.
It's a very good word of wisdom.
It's a very contemplative word.
It's very Buddha of you.
Yes. I think people could tend to be a little more empathetic towards minorities and people who are marginalized, whether it be people of color or especially trans people or people who are disenfranchised. I think we need a little bit more kindness So yeah, words of wisdom: be more empathetic to your fellow furry, especially if they are a marginalized person.
Well, Ronnie, thank you very much for coming on our show. It's been a pleasure to have you. We'll let you get back to doing whatever it is that you do, wherever you are. And thank you again for coming on our show.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bark, bark, I wag.
Wow, Ronnie Kallon. What a guy.
Yes. Yep, indeed. And yes, very talented dancey fur. I've seen him and dance at several comps. I've been in a floor wars with him. I didn't dance against him, and it's a good thing I didn't because I would have lost immediately. I think I probably did lose immediately anyway, but I would have lost immediately. But no, I've seen him in some dance comps and some floor wars, and he's really great. Always loved his style, always loved what he does. It was great to talk to him.
And 6-hour podcasts.
And
that was-
and 6-hour podcast.
That's crazy talk right there. Crazy talk, I'm
Great to
telling
talk.
you. But he only podcasts on Twitch, so that's a different platform altogether.
And he has it kind of a different format. I like the format he's talking about, though. It's a nice in-depth conversation with some people and some furs that he's known really well, and that can be very interesting. And I can see how that can go for a long time, because if you've known someone for a long time and haven't talked to him for a while, you have a lot to talk about.
If we ever did a live podcast with you talking to somebody you haven't talked to for a while, it would be days.
Oh, watch it. No, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think they'd even be able to get a word in edgewise, because this pup would just be like talky, fluff, 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 and that's
Right.
for days.
Right. Or an edge in wordwise, one of the two.
Or even an edge in word or
Word-wise.
fluff wise. There's
Yes.
so many directions to go with that.
Well, you know what's up next is Furries in the News.
Furries in the... How long can I draw this out? Okay, I'm done. I'm just...
All right. Wow.
Oh my fluff.
So I've, of course, scoured the internet with my scouring pad.
Bad internets.
So do you know what a kimono is?
I do, but why don't you tell our listeners?
Well, what do you think a kimono is?
So it's several things depending on how it's spelled. So kimono, like Ki, it's that Japanese traditional garb that they wear, the dress.
Mm-hmm.
Kemono, so Ke is a beast, means beast. Now a komodo, that's the dragon, Komodo dragon.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're not orange, are they?
They're usually not. I don't know, maybe in Japan they are, but over here they're not.
So you said Kemono is pronounced how?
I think it's kameno. I mean, I'm not the best at pronouncing Japanese, but it's how you spelled it, yes.
Yes, so that's beast, and that's their generic term for furry over there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That makes a little bit of sense, because it's like furry is actually an adjective, but we're furry, so that makes sense. That might mean beast, but it's their way they express furry. So I did not know that. That's very cool and interesting.
That is very cool, and I learned that today because I found out that the kimono or Chemocon is coming up in November 21st and 22nd in Kanami, Shizuoka, Japan.
Shizuoka, Japan, really? Okay,
Yes.
It's an in-person thing?
It is an in-person thing.
Wow.
Their website is very specific about how they're going to do social distancing, how they're going to do COVID prevention, how they're going to all that kind of stuff. And so they're going to try and have a con on November 21st and 22nd.
Okay.
I wish them all the luck in the world.
I totally agree with you. That's cool that they're trying to do that. And yes, good. So if any of you furs are out there are listening to this that are going to go to that thing, we wish you all the luck in the world. I'll be actually pretty excited and wagged to hear how that comes out. I'll have to check their website. I had not heard about this.
So pushing the WikiFur randomizer, and this one comes up to Kazin.
Kazina.
Not a cousin, but a kazin.
Oh, like this kind of
Kazin. Yes.
Kazin. Okay.
Kazin. Okay, kazin. I like saying that. Kazin. The kazin singular is Kazin, plural is Kazinti. Wow.
Okay.
Okay. Are a felinoid race.
Felinoid.
Felinoid, I guess that's feline?
Or they commit lots of crimes because they're a felinoid.
Felinoid, yes. It's a race in Larry Niven's known space universe. The race is extremely aggressive, using the scream and leap philosophy of warfare. Okay.
It's a philosophy.
It's a philosophy, kind of
I
like
had no idea.
the point of first contact with humans is technologically advanced. I don't know what that means.
I don't need that.
They nearly subjugated the human race after first contact. Oh no.
Subjugated.
Especially since humans at that point in time had become a pacifist race. The Xinti are a male-dominated society. Well, of course they are. So
They're all
much
felons.
so that the females of the race were specifically bred to be of lesser intelligence than the males.
Really? They're bred with, so is it like Wonder Bread instead of like Pole's Bowl that has all the grains and you get smarter, apparently?
It must be, I guess. A female's only role in their society is to be a breeder. Not a breeder,
Not
but
a
a breeder.
better, I think we thought the exact same thing at the same time. It was a little bit
yes.
scary.
In the Man Zin Wars series of anthology, several stories describe the zoo planet Kazinti, an isolated, low-technology population which has intelligent females. Oh, so there's a counter to them.
There's a counter to them to go against.
The race has also made appearances in other works of Niven's beyond a known space, including an episode of the animated series Star Trek. Really?
Oh, I
Which
did not
Niven
know
wrote.
that. Okay.
I will have to find that.
I thought that name sounded familiar somehow, I guess, and that might be
Really?
why. Yeah, I
Wow.
don't know. Niven sounded familiar. I don't know.
The appearance led them to be included in the Starfleet universe canon. Wow, how about that?
Hey, well, we are learning
Well.
stuff. Not Pachelbel's canon.
I don't know what that is, but okay.
It's a piano piece. Well, it's a song by, I don't think it's by Pachelbel. And it's not by Panda Paco's Bell.
Or Taco Bell.
Or it's not by Taco Bell either.
All right.
Okay,
Well, that
cool.
brings us to you have a story for us this week because last week was math.
Last week was math, and for any further that didn't catch on, so at first I was like, maybe I'll do a story this week, maybe I'll do math this week, but we're kind of alternating now. So last week was I did a math thing. There's the paradox thing. Yes. So if you go back, you will find two things that you can park your boats by. The paradox.
So is a paradox like a parachute? So we haven't gone down that road.
We haven't gone down that bunny hole yet. No. Parachute. Oh, okay.
Is that two shoots? That's
two shoots. To shoot or not to shoot? That is the question. I think you've stumbled on a new train of thought here. I'm pretty excited about this.
Well, hopefully the train of thought doesn't derail. But what is your story?
Oh, yeah, that. Right. We were doing something like that. So our story this week is called Around the Farm.
Around the Farm.
Around the Farm. It's in the world of Eric Carle.
In the world of.
He has his own world, Mr. Carl does. I don't know if he arrested on Sunday or not. Maybe he arrested on Tuesday. Maybe in his world, there's only 3 days in a week. So yes, this is Around the Farm. And you open it up and it's got little pictures of little animals and stuff that are around the farm.
Or big animals.
Or big animals. There's big and small animals. And each animal has a sound.
Oh, okay.
and there's 30 animals, so
30.
So we'll just go through them. We're just gonna go for it. It's so I'm pretty exciting. It's exciting. I'm gonna wag. So each animal has a short little sentence about it. So I'll read you the short descriptive sentence so we can learn from it, and then we'll hear what sound it makes.
Okay.
So the bull is strong.
Bull.
So that's a bull, and apparently we get to hear how to say the name of the animal too, because did he hear the person that said it? Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the cow gives us milk to drink.
Cow.
Sounds a lot like the bull, actually.
Like the bull, yes. Without the... at the end.
Without that, yeah, it's not a horse cow
Yes.
thing.
Horse cow.
The goat can climb.
Goat.
The pig has a curly tail.
Pig.
So it has a curl. Does the tail make the noise?
I
That's what I'm
think so.
confused
I
about.
think that's what's
Okay.
happening.
Okay.
The lamb is a baby sheep. Wait, where'd lamb go? Oh, I haven't read about the sheep yet. That's why I'm
Oh,
confused.
yes. The sheep
I got
first.
all out of control. I'm out of control and out of order. So the
Yes.
sheep has wool that keeps it warm.
Sheep.
The lamb is a baby sheep.
Lamb.
Oh, isn't that cute and fun? Oh, the donkey kicks its legs.
Donkey.
It sounds like it's in pain. I feel bad for donkey.
Very
The-
sad donkey.
Sad donkey. The horse gallops in the field.
Horse.
Okay, now we're getting some.
Okay.
This story is really getting riveting. And when we get to the frog, it will be riveting instead.
It will.
I just did that, and I kind of am sorry I did, but there it is. And the hen, the hen lays eggs for the farmer, not for anyone else. Got to be the farmer.
Just
'cause
the farmer, yeah.
The farmer is pretty selfish.
Hen.
And the turkey likes to eat seeds and grains. We learned something that's what
Seed
turkeys
and
eat.
grains.
Okay.
Okay.
Turkey.
I'm having a lot of fun. I'm having a lot more fun than I really should be. And for any further listens to all of this, I give you the biggest hug. Like, oh
Yes,
my cow, the biggest
absolutely,
hug.
yes.
But we'll get there. The chick is yellow and fluffy.
Chick.
Oh, go Pete.
Aw.
The rooster wakes the farmer in the morning.
Rooster.
And the farmer's unhappy now because the farmer did have his eggs from the hen, but now the
Yes.
rooster woke him up. It's very
He was-
unladylike, I guess.
So he was eating his eggs in his sleep, huh?
Yeah, apparently he has sleep eating egg disease.
He's over it.
He's over it. Get out of here. He over it.
He's over it.
That was a very horrible yoke you just told right there.
Was.
And I just did it too. So the cat meows and purrs.
Cat.
That was a cat. And the dog howls at the moon.
Dog.
Well, that's not a howl.
That was not a howl.
was
Let's
a
say that
bark.
again.
Dog.
No, I didn't hear it wrong. It's okay. Apparently, Miss Dog Reader person doesn't know what dogs really do. And the mouse stays warm in the farmer's barn. There's a lot of farmer in this story.
Mouse. Mouse.
Or it could be a bird.
maybe it's a bird. It's a bird. It's a mouse. No, we have no idea what it is. So now here's where the story gets riveting because the frog leaps up into the air.
Frog.
The duck waddles to and fro. That's what
To
it
and
says.
fro.
The duck waddles.
Duck.
The turtle can hide in its shell. So
Oh,
let's hear what sound a turtle
What does
makes.
a turtle make? Yes.
We talked actually about this earlier,
Oddly enough, yes.
and now we're going to find out. Are you ready?
We're waiting with bated breath. I have worms on my tongue. It's bated breath.
It's you do. You definitely do.
Turtle.
I have never heard a turtle make that noise ever.
It's a special exotic type of turtle.
Plays the trombone clearly.
Plays the trombone. A very talented turtle. And
Yes.
since you were baited, let's find out that, well, now we know the fish swims underwater, and apparently they make a sound. And it goes like,
Fish.
oh, they do make that. They go bubbles, and it like makes little bubbly sounds, apparently.
I don't know that a fish makes bubble sounds.
It's the
I've
bubbles
never-
that make the bubble sounds.
Right? I've never heard a fish make a bubble sound, but okay. All right,
I mean,
I'll-
all my fishy friends, I've never heard them make a bubble sound. The
Yes.
crow flaps its wings.
Crow.
That was a
Okay.
crow, all right. The sparrow likes to sing.
Sparrow.
It's saying
Okay.
better than I did. We're almost done. We only have 9 left.
Only 9. Oh, hooray.
Taebyn, what is wrong with me? Okay, the owl can see in the dark. So what's the sound of an owl seeing
Owl
in the
seeing
dark?
in the dark.
Owl.
And the reason why it makes that sound when it sees in the dark is because it wants to know who is there.
Absolutely. Who is
That
that?
was a very bad joke I just told. I know it.
Or who are you? That was a music reference.
But say it again.
Who are you? Who? I really want to know who are you?
You sing better than the sparrow.
Who?
Oh, I was wondering what that song was, but then for some reason that at the end I figured it out.
And for those of you that listen to me sing, I'm sorry.
They've listened to me sing before, so I don't think you have anything to be sorry about.
Okay.
The woodpecker pecks the tree with its beak.
Woodpecker.
Come
Or a
in,
machine gun. Yes.
or a machine gun. So either come in or take me to the hospital. The snake hisses and slithers.
Snake.
Okay.
This is a very interesting farm. It
Is
has
it?
snakes and woodpeckers and
And
sparrows.
woodpeckers and sparrows and
And
lambs
turtles.
and turtles. The rabbit likes to hop.
Rabbit.
Okay, now I have never heard a rabbit make that noise.
I put
ever.
Posy down. There's no even exotic rabbit that makes that noise.
No, absolutely not. No.
It's like a spring in a bed or something. I don't know. The cricket hops and chirps.
Cricket.
Or when it tells a bad joke, that's what you get.
That is, we've actually, yes, I've heard that
We
many
use that
times.
a lot. Yes.
We use that
on
a
this
lot.
pod.
The dragonfly zips and zooms.
Dragonfly.
That was a dragonfly zipping and zooming. The bee buzzes from flower to flower.
Bee.
So a lower toned dragonfly, clearly.
Clearly, it's they're in the same genre, the same species.
Yes.
The butterfly flutters its colorful wings.
Butterfly.
That's
Okay.
the sound a butterfly makes.
Okay. If I ever hear a butterfly make that noise, I know that I am on drugs.
Well, what about the caterpillar who crawls along a leaf?
Caterpillar.
Wow.
I've never heard a caterpillar even coming close to making that sound.
Never.
I mean, happily that's the end. We made it through all 30 animals. And now we
Wow.
know what caterpillars sound like, so that's good to know.
And butterflies and wow, that's
And turtles.
I like turtles.
Turtles and bunnies make
And
funny
bunnies.
noises.
I realized, foxes aren't on farms, and that's why there wasn't fox in there. But I was really excited because I want to know what does the fox say, but it didn't tell me.
We know what the fox says.
We
Go
do.
back to 1985 or whenever that song came out.
Oh, is it? I did. Okay, I gotta go back to that. Apparently,
What does the fox say?
Remember that song? What does the fox say?
well, I know the one that made it in the furry world and everything, but I didn't realize it was an actual song.
Now we come to our joke section. I wanted
Our section.
our one section that we devote because we don't have enough bad jokes in our podcast.
Everything else is very serious. Exactly. We have to do a whole section because we need some levity here.
All right, so I'm going to start with, do you know how to organize a space party?
With the Spartian or whatever that
No,
word you came up with last time.
No, you plan it.
Oh, yeah, you do. you definitely got to, or else things go awry.
Or a barley,
Or a wheat germ, or an
any
alfalfa.
of those. Yes.
So what did the boy octopus say to the girl octopus, Bearly?
I don't know. What did they say to each other?
Okay, are you ready?
I am. Okay.
The boy octopus said, I want to hold your hand, 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 hand.
Uh-huh.
I asked if you were ready, and I know you're sorry that you said yes, but
Do you know how much a hipster weighs?
as much as a hamster that has no hip.
A hipster weighs an Instagram.
I
Topical
just did that.
humor,
I
yes.
just did that. Yes, topical. What did the ram say to his sweetheart?
I don't know.
He said, I love you.
Oh, I love you, EWE. I love
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. It takes a second. It takes a second. This page is really bad, but okay.
A man walks into a doctor's office and says, "Hey, doc, I've broken my arm in several places." And the doctor says, "Well, stop going to those places."
Yeah, those places are not good for you. Barely, do you know why 28 men suddenly walked out of the restaurant?
I have no idea why.
Well, I mean, they finished eating.
What?
I know.
Oh my god. That is so bad.
It's
That is
really
so bad.
It's,
That is-
it's really bad. Oh, my cow.
You have one better than that to end on?
I do not. I do not.
Oh.
And this is, I think, maybe one that, you know how we have those every now and then that we don't know what they mean, and it takes like a year to figure them out. And we have to do
Yes.
research. So the hunter says that he spotted a leopard, and his wife says to him, "Don't be silly, dear. They grow that way."
Because leopards have spots.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. I
Uh.
like the men and the eating better.
Yes, that was much better.
Okay,
Although
because
it was dumb, but it was better.
oh my cow,
my,
there
my.
are so many cows that are mine.
So let's move on to trivia.
Trivia. Oh, I gotta use puppy logic again.
Okay, I'm going to mix the categories.
Mix.
Categories are mixing.
Mix.
Would you like to know arts, entertainment, history, science, general, or geography?
Let's just start out with general. Not lieutenant, but general.
Yes. Okay.
I like how these days you just like ignore when I say things. It's like, okay, no, Taken just I'm not
Hey,
even
well,
gonna acknowledge.
but see, the thing is, my bear brain goes down all sorts of roads when you say that about different puns that I could make, and sometimes I just have to rein myself back in.
You're okay, so I will take your silence as you're improving yourself. So I'm glad to
Yes.
help you with that.
I'm
Okay.
moving
good.
forward with my life. Yes. Okay. So, general Ham was one
I
of the
love the way
sons.
this is starting.
I know it's a food thing. Ham was one of the sons of what biblical patriarch?
Okay, give me time to process these.
I don't think they're talking about the lunch meat.
Probably not. Okay, puppy logic. Let's see. Ham. Well, it's spam is some kind of meat, but it's not quite ham, so it has to do with spam. And biblical times, so there was Peter, Paul, and Piper, but then there's pickle. So there's a pickle rolled in some spam, and then you eat it. And then apostle. So I've got a posiole eats it with posies, and it gets all over the fluff. Then I have to take a shower and dry off. So I'm going to say that the answer is pepper.
No.
Okay, I tried.
I thought you might actually use puppy logic to get there, but your
not
puppy
quite.
logic went the wrong way
Oh,
because ham is made from what?
piggies.
Piggies, and piggies are a
Animal.
and animals were in what biblical thing?
Oh, the ark.
And who
Noah.
made the ark? Yes,
Noah.
Noah. So Ham was the son of Noah.
Okay. Instead of yes, I went no
Yes, that's true. Okay. All right. Let's
Let's
move
go
on
to
to
the next.
the next.
Let's do the next.
Let's go on to the next category. Would you like arts, entertainment, history, geography, or science?
Let's do arts.
What nationality was writer Arthur C. Clarke?
Arthur C. Clarke. He can apparently see. He was not blind because he can see, obviously.
Right.
So
Yes.
he had glasses, which meant he had to go to the optometrist Arthur was an optometrist in Washington, there's Clark County. That's right. So what's the question again?
What nationality was Arthur C. Clarke?
Apparently Washington.
Well, Washington's not a nationality, but you're
Oh.
close.
How about Washington? Okay, so how about Washingtonian?
Washingtonians? No, he was British. Thank you very much. I'm going to throw two at you that I think
Ooh.
you'll probably be able to answer.
Okay.
So I'm going to throw the science category at you first because it relates back to something we talked about earlier. What was the name of the IBM supercomputer which defeated chess champion Garry Kasparov
Kasparov. I knew you were going to say Kasparov.
in a
Was
1997 match?
that Big Blue?
It was. I'm going to throw this one at you because, well, you should know this one. What is the Count's full name on Sesame Street?
Count Dracula. No, not Count Dracula. It is. Wait. 1 puppy pup, 2 puppy pup. Ah ha ha ha.
Right.
Count Dracula, right?
No, it's Count von Count.
Actually, I did not know that.
You didn't know that?
I actually did
Wow.
not know that.
Huh.
Are we done yet? Are we done?
We are, and just
That's
like that,
so
we've
really good.
we've come to the end of a podcast.
Is anyone still listening? I hope some furs are still listening, and if you are, especially if you listen to my story with the 30
animals?
What is coming to the? I mean, there's the pandemic, there's the presidential race, there's rioting in the streets, and then there's me reading 30 animals. So if you're still here, I love you so much. Oh my cow.
So if we have a pandemic, can you have a potdemic?
Oh,
Pots
you
and
can,
pans.
You can, yes. You really dished it out on that one.
Okay. Well, you know what? Please remember to subscribe.
And really, I have to contemplate what was just happening.
Okay.
Okay, stop. I stop.
Well, there you go. Please stop. Please stop. So remember to subscribe on your favorite pod platform and tell your friends to listen. Let's get our listenership up. I really want to get our listenership up. So
why would they listen to this? But no, I would love to get our listeners. Can you say what I'm trying to say for me? Because I really
love to get our listenership up.
Yes, thank you so much.
So if you have a pod, if you have a social media or a pod, promote our pod on your pod, whatever. So,
or if you have a paw, promote it and we will pet it and it will be fluff.
Yes. So send us an email, send us a message, send us a story link or anything really. We'd love to hear from you. Send us anything. We don't care. We're loose.
Do it.
Just send us something, please. So the empty mailbag is not empty all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, if you listen to all of this, you'll realize that just send us whatever, and it will be fine.
Right. I mean, check out our Telegram chat. Check out our YouTube channels, which is Taebyn Pup at YouTube. Mm-hmm. And we have Injured Nerves, where these podcasts are placed. And I have a few other things on there, too. Mm-hmm. And be sure to tune in next week when our guest will be Haven T. Fusky.
Oh, yes, Haven. I love Haven. I have met him, and he's a cutie, husky fusky, and it'll be great to talk to him.
It will be great to talk to him. So, Taebyn, I wish you a good farewell and a good evening, and I hug you, and I will talk to you in a week.
Yes, we'll talk to you again. I fluff you as well. Bye-bye, Bearly. Bark, bark. Thank you, every fur, for listening. Bark, I wave.
Bearly Furcasting is an Injured Nerves studio production and is found on all major podcast platforms or can be heard directly at barelyfurcasting.com. The opinions expressed here are those of the hosts and their guests, and no commercial compensation was granted. The Furcast is produced, recorded, and directed by me, Barely Normal, aka Mike Began, and is edited by myself and our associate editors Rain Raccoon and Canes. Opening and closing theme music, as well as some interstitial music, was created for Injured Nerves Productions for the use on the podcast by our music associate Reg Day with Damian Tanuki. If you would like to send us a message, you can do so via email at barelyfurcasting@gmail.com or on our Telegram chat at BFFTchat, on Twitter, on our Facebook page, or on the barelyfurcasting.com webpage. You can also help support the show through donations at ko-fi.com/barelyfurcasting. Thanks for listening. We hope you come back and listen next week.